For a couple of days this week, multiple things were going on in court. I was trying to pay attention to several trials at the same time, and for one, we waited for the verdict. I am your host, Mike, and this is a weekly summary on just legal history. This week, we had the sentencing in the Crumbley cases, the start of the trial of Chad Daybell, pre-trial work for Karen Reed, and then we had the one that I was passionate about this week, the Nicolae Miu closing and verdict. The Crumbleys were in court on Tuesday to get their sentence. The first part of the hearing was the three parties discussing the sentencing guidelines. Sentencing guidelines are several pages of answers and scores to determine the sentence of the person depending on some of the variables that have been created and each side given a score. Usually the prosecution creates one, probation creates one, and then the defense team creates one. The judge then hears all the sides of the story and decides on the sentence. First, we heard the victims' family give impact statements. They told what they remembered about the victims and how they would be missed. We then heard statements from both Jennifer and James. Then we heard from the judge. I'm going to play a 1-minute clip that talks about the things in the case and one of the persons involved.
On the back of their neck stand up. Opportunity knocked over and over again, louder and louder, and was ignored. No one answered, and these two people should have and sure didn't. Mr. Crumbley, it's clear to this court that because of you, there was unfettered access to a gun or guns, as well as ammunition in your home. You characterized yourself as a martyr and threatened the well-being of the prosecutor. Mrs. Crumbley, you glorified the use and possession of these weapons. Your attitude toward your son and his behaviors was dispassionate and apathetic. Your response to school staff after a 12-minute meeting was, "Are we done here?" During your trial, you announced that you wouldn't do anything different. I understand that might have been misinterpreted, but it did cut the victims deep. Because of both of your actions and inaction, among many, many other things, the world is missing out on a top college university will miss out on Tate's star quality football skills.
We then learned that both Jennifer and James Crumbley were sentenced to 10 to 15 years in prison. They can't contact any of the victims or their families, and that she will decide later if they can talk to their son. The trial that started on Wednesday was the trial of Chad Daybell. My hope is to do an episode on the facts and background of that case soon. Opening arguments started Wednesday and then 2 days of trial. Chad was a doomsday prophet writer who was suspected of killing his wife at the time, and then when he got remarried, killing 2 of her children because they thought they were zombies. One interesting thing is that his children are going to testify in his defense and try and say that the mom had health issues and died from that. Next up is the Karen Reed pre-trial hearings. I have stayed away from this one with all the drama with it, including things like Turtle Boy. Karen is accused of killing her husband, that was a police officer, John O'Keefe. There was a back and forth with discussions on what could be excluded from the trial. It was also talked about how the video of when the car was brought into the police body shop, that the video was missing for parts of it. If you are following this case, please let me know. And if you've been watching my videos this week, you know I have been following the case of Nicolae Miu. He was found guilty of reckless homicide, endangering safety with his stabbings, and battery. Looking it up, the first count carries up to a 40-year sentence in prison with 20 years of parole after. Since Miu is in his 50s now, and if he gets that sentence, he will not leave prison alive. But over the course of the week, or the period, the two sides will do their sentencing guidelines, and then the judge will decide based on all the parties what the sentence will be. Also, over the weekend, we heard that 4 people were arrested in Oklahoma regarding the 2 missing Kansas women. It appears one of them was the grandmother and her boyfriend. It's still too early to know all of the details, and we will see what we find out this week. Please have a good weekend. and stay safe. This has been an episode of Just Legal History. And please remember that all these are my opinions of the cases that we talk about.